Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over, the man Optimus Prime pop that he still can't stop, the Twilight Knight, Nate. How are you
What's
doing
up?
this week?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Obviously, we have a third member who is not here tonight. There were some scheduling conflicts that then caused other scheduling conflicts. So he has the night off now. But you have us here
Yeah.
tonight. And tonight
Woo.
we are going to talk about something that's definitely chafing Nate the wrong way. And that is Hasbro's Marvel Legends going plasticless with the packaging. So I'm gonna let you take the floor. I want to hear your thoughts on it and what you had to say before I kind of chime in.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. We knew this was coming, first of all. They had mentioned this, I think, last year, maybe even the year before, but weren't really sure how this was going to go out. We knew they were going to reduce plastics and they were going to be looking to outright, remove all plastics. And so the Marvel Legends live stream that was on Tuesday was really the first time that we saw it on regular 6-inch action figures. So previously to that, I showed it last week. I still have it here. So Transformers leader class and up are all going closed box. But what I thought was interesting, and I don't think I have one because I don't think it was around here, but I'm going to look real quick. That the deluxe class and the Voyager class, which for those who don't speak Transformer, and that's okay, I didn't until just recently. That's your like your $20 to $25 range, and then your $30 to $32 range. Those ones they have like an open window
Mm-hmm.
on them, so not very big. Probably only about 3 inches or so, but that's the thing. You can see what's inside,
Yeah.
and ultimately, I'm at two thoughts here because the Marvel Legends packaging is bad. It's really, really bad. And um, there's just so many ways to look at this that is unattractive. And the first being that it's just a closed box. It's just a box. So right there, your mint on card collectors, or in this case with Marvel Legends or Star Wars Black Series or any of the other 6-inch series that I almost said Marvel that Hasbro puts out, um, they all are like in box, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a plastic window on them with some sort of hanging mechanism or something. Um, and so if you're an on card collector or in box collector of those figures, you get to see your figure. That's why I was never like. It's kind of like going back to like when I first kind of got back into action figures after my kid era. I was never really big into collecting vehicles in the box because you just had a box, and I thought it was what difference does it make if I remove it and just display the box? It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing essentially, except I get to also enjoy the item as
Yeah.
well. So there's that plus side of it, I guess. But ultimately, if you're not used to opening your figures, you have this box that has a photograph of the figure, and it's obviously a very touched up photograph. There's Photoshop involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at like the Ned and Peter 2-pack. They're chumming it up. They're in these weird things that I'm sure they're possible, but at the same time, this is a perfect world situation that's what your figures look like, and
Mm-hmm.
rarely do the figures look like the fancy promotional figure.
Yeah.
There's always issues.
Mm-hmm.
So then that brings me to my second thing that I don't like is that I can't look at the figure itself. I'm not super picky, so I know some people will go through and they will look, and if there's something just slightly off with the eye, or if something just isn't just right, they'll bitch and they won't buy it. I look for major errors. If
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge just spot on half of the face or the eye is painted up here, if it's something that just I'm going to put it on a shelf and I'm going to step back from it. And I'm not always going to be so up on it. So if it's just a little off, I don't care. But I know a lot of people who do. But I still want to be able to look and see, what does my figure look like? Transformers, it never bothered me because for the most part, it's, molded and colored plastic and there is paint and stuff involved, but rarely do you have wonky eyes because they typically don't have eyes in the strictest sense, or a mouth. It's a plate or something like that. So, the closed boxes there don't really bother me, but on the actual figures of humans' faces and things like that, I want to be able to look at them. And then my last, and I think the biggest potential issue that we're going to see, and, I hate to bring it up to give ideas, but it's all over, but is figure swapping. Figure swapping has been a major plague in our hobby for years. And because you're taking advantage of the poor people who work at customer service that, I'm sorry, people can get mad at them all they want. They don't know.
Yeah,
they don't know.
They get paid
yeah,
like low wages to do a job where they get bitched at or have to just,
to be fair,
yeah,
a job that you and I have both done.
Oh yes.
So we're not like picking on people. Like we've been there.
We've been there, done that. Like there's we're very much so like we've been initiated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we feel you. And so that just, I even got worried about it when I picked this up, because when I picked it up, I was like, this doesn't feel that heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I even bought it is because, okay, this just came out. The chances of somebody, buying it, swapping it, and returning it already are pretty slim. But I checked it when I got out to the car.
Mm-hmm.
So am I gonna have to now I can't even go out to my car. I feel like if I do this or I buy something, I have to open it as soon as I pay for it.
Yeah, like walk over
in front of the cashier,
the way,
so I can be like, hey, this isn't right. You see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saw me open this. I'm going to customer service, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I could go to Hasbro Pulse or something like that, and I'm basically taking the same chance as I would if I ordered a plastic encased figure from them, I guess. But it's just very, very odd. And I guess part of it was I thought it was going to go a different way. And I thought it was going to go more towards what we've seen with Transformers, where on the Deluxe and Voyager class, we have an open window.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the case of like the Fortnite figures, now there's still plastic there, but there's like a small box.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe we were just going to go without that plastic.
Mm-hmm.
There would still be, a small box so you could see the actual figure inside.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that lends itself to people pulling the heads off, but that is also a potential concern.
That'll be
on some of these
TikTok
open
trend within
boxes.
a matter of months.
Right. And it's like that, like the LeBron James ones that we saw last year, or, cheap ass customizers or whatever who just is like, hey, I need this head. I'm not going to spend $20 on it.
Mm-hmm.
I could just, open it, take it out of there and return it. But why hassle with the return when I can just pop it off?
Yep.
So there's so many, like on one hand, because I am concerned about the environment. Plastic is very much not recycled,
Mm-hmm.
Even though we recycle it, the places that take it don't really use what we give them.
Yeah.
So on that, I understand where Hasbro's coming from, and I guess I applaud the attempt, but I just don't think that action figures are the right avenue for this. And then that even goes one step further for me, because as a recent I've gotten way more interested in the vintage collection recently. That's going to affect that big time, because the whole point of the vintage collection was to emulate that original, Kenner style.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're now going to get these closed boxes like we're seeing with the Deluxe Boba Fett and stuff like that, that takes a lot of the fun out of it. And I know a lot of people who collect vintage collection who buy two. They keep every single one carded and then they open one. I don't do that, but I have bought multiples of some figures that I wanted for certain dioramas or something like that. And what's the point then? Because if I'm gonna display all my card backs or whatever, I'll just take the figure out of the box and display the box. So there's a lot of things. That's even if I keep collecting it. That collectors at this point, I feel, are looking for a reason to leave lines
Oh yeah.
because this stuff is getting expensive. Um, the price increases are you know, the price increase is weird because it's like it's only a couple of bucks, right? It was $22.99.
I
For
mean,
I'm going to say
for some
Hasbro.
stuff, yeah. Well, I'm saying for
Yeah,
some
I'm
stuff
just
with as if you can get like at Target or Walmart, yeah. But today's pre-orders were significantly more than that.
yes. My point was not to defend it, but it was like, oh, it's only like $2 extra or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But there's something mentally about going to and picking up one action figure. When you buy a bunch, it's deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's like comic books. You don't really realize how much one comic book is until you buy one,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, damn, that's kind of expensive. When you got 10 of them, you're like, whatever, it's going to be
Yeah, it's
expensive.
whatever. Yeah.
It's the same thing with this. When you would buy a wave, it's expensive. But when a six-figure wave of Marvel Legends is, I can't do that math that quick, $150. When it used to be 100, you're like, well, it's a lot, but whatever. But there's something mentally about taking it to that self checkout or to the register, and it's $24.99, and then over $25 with tax, and then exclusive. You're talking almost $30
Yeah.
for one figure, and what is the breaking point on that? And I think that at this point, collectors will look for any excuse, and you're going to see a lot of people jump off Vintage Collection. You're going to see a lot of people jump off Black Series, and you're going to see a lot of people jump off Marvel Legends because it's just not worth the hassle of all the things I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to maybe something I'm not thinking. So that was my whole thing. Obviously, I had some opinions, and I'm not even like being like, oh, Hasbro's the worst. Like, I do want to applaud them. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. They want to get rid of plastic. I feel like there's could have been better ways, but what do I know?
Yeah, I'm with you on pretty much every point you hit because it is one of those things now when you go to the retail like brick and mortar stores, you're taking a risk at buying this action figure that's getting more expensive, so it's a more expensive risk than if it was still at the $20 mark. So
Right.
between the figure swapping, paint apps, what have you, um, or even just like factory errors where they like forget a hand or something like that, like
Right.
there's so many things that
How do I
go into
check that
it.
I'm going to get all my accessories?
Hmm.
Because I mean, even if there was an open window, you're not going to put your accessories in that window because people would take those no matter
Yeah,
what.
and I
And
feel
oh,
oh
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
I need to stop.
I feel like I almost feel like this is like we talked about this a few weeks ago where I brought up like Hasbro has the clout that they could go without the retailers, and they may have to because at this point I see more people probably going to either the e-retailers like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store or going directly through Pulse if they ever improve their fucking process. Um, Rather than risking it because at least then you're getting the figure. It's
Right.
just then a
Right.
crapshoot of how it looks when you get it, which I mean, even if you're buying it at retail, like that's still a crapshoot anyway. Um,
Mhm.
I think my biggest pet peeve about this entire process, because I love the idea of trying to improve it for the environment, because obviously, I mean, action figures are literally just plastic, so it's a pretty gnarly toll on the environment as it is. But then you get into the packaging and stuff, so it makes sense. It's a smart move. I dig it, but if the cost then also comes down from them because now they're not spending as much on the box because it's just a cardboard box, but the prices still went up. You think that would offset
Mhm.
it because they can claim inflation, they can claim the pandemic, what have you, whatever bullshit. There's been a lot of people like Trevor Noah who has talked about how companies now are just raising their prices just because they can do it without taking the blame. Like, oh, inflation, oh, blame the government,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And that's what this feels like. This feels like this is them like saying, oh, well, prices are already going up everywhere, so if we raise the price now and do this, then we're going to maximize our profit. Um, Now, I don't work for Hasbro or any toy company, so I don't know what
Right.
their costs are. But
Right.
that's always been a big thing with a lot of companies is they change the packaging to bring costs down so they can put more into the figures, um, or in some cases even lower the price on the figures if people are upset about the prices. Where they did it the opposite direction, they got rid of the most expensive part of the packaging and then raised the price even more. Because the pre-orders today, I was like, I saw the prices yesterday, but I'm like, oh, whatever. But then as I'm like ordering a couple things today, I'm just like, damn, like this is rough. And I don't even really collect Legends that much. I literally,
Right.
the only two things that were announced I wanted is the Venom from the King Venom comics
Right.
looks fucking incredible. So I was like, well, I can't pass
It
that up.
it does,
Um,
but it's $80.
exactly. And like, yeah, you're getting one really big figure with wings and another figure, but like, damn, like they're like that that means that they think those figures individually are $40 each. Which, I mean, granted, they thought Iron Spider was $35. So, and then the rest of the ones were 30. So it's just like, where does it end? Because this is, I already see it all over Instagram, like all day. Anytime I like check my phone and go through Instagram, it was just person after person either saying that they were going to use this, like you said, as their excuse to finally get out of the line, or they were just, upset about it, but they hadn't really like made the leap to be like, I'm done, fuck them, like what have you. I don't think I saw anyone with anything positive to say about yesterday's live stream, despite the fact that there were some cool things announced. Because the second they would be like, "Ooh, this looks cool," they'd be like, "Ooh, that price. Ooh, that packaging." That's another thing. The packaging is fucking ugly. Like, at least with your
Yeah, it really
Transformers,
is.
you get this beautiful mural on it. This is
Yeah.
literally looks like they just took the photos that they show you on the live stream and pasted it where the the plastic would have been.
Yeah. I did see positives in the sense of like figures and character choices and things like that. So I mean, because Spider-Man is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the movie made almost like $1 billion in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things announced that was all Spider-Man related. So people seem to be positive about that, and the good re-releases and things like that, or updates on certain things. But that's where the positivity stopped, because the boxes and the
Mm-hmm.
prices then became a whole nother issue. So um, yeah, I only wanted, out of all the stuff that was announced, I only wanted the Spider-Man Noir. And of course, Target was late in getting their pre-orders up, so it wasn't up along with everything else. I don't know if Pulse had it. They didn't have it at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't end up going up until almost 4 o'clock, or around 4 o'clock. And I checked, I saw a link, somebody sent it to me. I checked it 10 minutes later and it was sold out. And I was just like, whatever, man. At this point, whatever.
Yeah. It's just,
I
I
don't
think,
care.
like, we literally have had so many videos where we complain about, like, NECA and stuff of the pre-orders, and they're just as bad. It's just, at least with Marvel Legends, there's a fraction of a chance that you might be able to find it in store versus there, but with everything else, like,
Yep.
price, shitty boxes, everything, it's like, why bother? And like for me,
Right.
it's an easy pass for me for things because I'm like,
Right.
I don't really collect Legends. I have my carded ones for the retro cards, which that, like you mentioned with the vintage collection, I'm curious what the plan is for that. Because I mean, they showed the lizard is clearly still on that carded with the bubble,
Yeah.
but what
That's
happens
the
after that?
only thing that gives me hope, that for these special things. Because so I was talking to a guy today. We were talking about the 40th anniversary Black Series figures. They had these amazing Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back 6-inch figures on retro style cards, but very well done. Next year is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. That's my favorite one. That was the one I was excited about. I didn't get any of the Star Wars ones. I didn't get any of the Empire Strikes Back ones, but I'm going to get all of those Return of the Jedi ones. Or maybe now I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not just going to buy them to have a box that
Yeah,
looks like the old cards. If I did have the other ones, I'd be even more mad, because they're not going to match.
yeah,
And I'm sorry, You can't do that to toy collectors. Toy collectors by nature have OCD
Oh yeah.
issues. It's been fed to us since we were children with the cross cells on the back, you know. So we just, it's things like that just get us in certain motions, and we got to collect them all, but they all got to match. And that used to drive me nuts about like DVDs back in the day when DVDs were coming out. Like the thing that struck me was Harry Potter. First two came out in these awesome digipack things when it first came out on DVD, and the third one came out in a regular case. I was so pissed. I'm like, what is wrong with you people that you can't just make them all look the same? So
Exactly,
I wouldn't collect them. And that's what it does to me. It makes me not want to do it. If it all can't look the same, I don't want it. I ran into the same stupid issue last week when Spider-Man No Way Home came out on 4K, Blu-ray and DVD and all that good stuff. But I have all the Marvel movies on 4K, and all of them have slipcovers. I normally don't care about slipcovers anymore, except those, because they all have them. They look badass. I just like it. And they're all, you know, the original ones they came with, because they've re-released them multiple times. But Spider-Man No Way Home, the Blu-ray had one, but the 4K did not. Unless you bought it at Walmart. It was an exclusive slipcover at Walmart. And I couldn't find it initially. It was just, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And that just sets me off. So when packages don't match, that's when I get, I'm like, I'm out. And especially with toy collectors, I've noticed once we sort of get out or stop in a certain way, we tend to just, we're out of the whole thing.
It's pretty much, it's once you get that initial like, oh, like that freedom, you feel the weight lifted, then you're just like, okay, done. Like it's
right.
Once you take that first step, it's easy. You don't have to. You don't think twice about it.
And this is a little bit off subject, but since we didn't have Wednesday weekly purchases, or AKA OnlyFigs, coming next week, we didn't have that this week. I did a really big step this week, because I got from a pre-order from Target, I got the exclusive Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness Target exclusive deluxe Marvel Legends. So it's the red Defender Strange with the cool effect piece.
I just want that effect piece so bad.
Well, and I understand that because I did too, but you know, I got it, I opened it, and I was like, another Doctor Strange. Like, yeah, this one's different. It is.
Technically, he's a different Doctor Strange, like, altogether.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's still a Doctor Strange, and how many of those ultimately do I need? And I really started to think about that, like my MCU. How many Iron Mans do I need? How many Spider-Mans do I need? How many Captain Americas do I truly need? I like having a few different representations, but there's some of them I can't tell the difference, and that's not good.
Yeah.
And so I made I took back that Doctor Strange. You know, I canceled some of my Star Wars Black Series pre-orders because, you know what? I don't need every single character. And now when they're $25 a piece, you know, it's even more like, you know what? I think, you know, I kept my Omega and Echo, or not Echo, Echo, because I'm going to finish out the Bad Batch team, but then that's it. Nothing else from the show. That, you know, that one's complete. And the Mandalorian, they release every figure that makes a 2-second screen time. And then ultimately so many different versions of Mando and Grogu. I don't need those. You know, I didn't buy the shit covered one when it came out, and that felt good. Because it was like $40 some, and it was another Mando and another Grogu, and it's like, I'm good. And so that just kind of ties in with all of it. You reach a point, and there was a little bit that you said, you know, we get, and a friend of mine actually texted me today because he's getting frustrated. He's getting burnt out. This is no longer fun. And we all hit those things at different times.
I hit that with Deca Turtles.
Epiphanies. Right. And I definitely have hit it with a certain thing in NECA Turtles. You know, I'm being ultimately way more choosy. I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I'm good. I did put in my pre-order for the van, by the way, just so you know. I did go with the NECA one. So, but that's kind of like, you know, besides that and Usagi Yojimbo, which I did not pre-order, I'm going to wait until it shows up at Target. But that's probably, at least of what's been announced, that'll probably be my last one. So, and I'm not doing the comic book ones. I decided. Um,
Not gonna
so,
lie, after the debacle of Holothon, I don't think
hmm
I'm gonna do the comic book ones either. Because like I was super excited for Slash and Fugitoid and like the fact that they were doing both the Mirage and the Archie stuff. And now I'm
yeah,
just kind of like after everything, I'm like I think the only thing neck I'm gonna collect is I'm gonna finish out the Gargoyles. I'll buy whatever
yeah.
shitty fucking secondary figure I have to get all their like wrapped around wing capes, and just call it a day. Like I guess I'll do the black and white Universal Monster stuff too, but like those come
Yeah,
so few and far between that I don't really have to worry too
right.
hard.
Yeah, I'm doing those, and there was one other one that I was gonna do, and now I can't. Oh, Gremlins. I'll stay with Gremlins, but that's just because I love that movie
Mm,
and stuff like that. But I mean, everything else, I feel like I'm good.
yeah,
Unless they release a new Jason that I don't have, but that's
yeah, that's very
you know
unlikely at
we
this point.
we've got one in 3 years, so if they do announce one, great. I think I'll be able to
Yeah,
handle it.
I feel like the last one they released was solely just because they had it made and they were like, fuck it, like
I think so.
we don't care about this lawsuit. If we get caught up, we get caught up. We just need to get it. We've already spent
Yeah.
the money anyway. Um, but yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I'm not gonna lie, it almost has me even considering like, do I even want to do the retro carded like Spider-Man stuff or the retro carded Star Wars stuff? Because I was planning on doing that and like having like a big display on a wall or something, and now I'm just like, well, how long until those change, or how long until they ditch it completely?
I,
Because they've already seemingly ditched the X-Men line that they were doing to do the
right.
VCR ones, which now I'm kind of like, if I really wanted the like retro card X-Men. I don't even know if I want to do the animated X-Men anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I was initially going to do Wolverine. I probably won't keep it. I probably will cancel the pre-order at this point. The excitement's not there. You
Yeah.
know. Uh, I don't know. The only thing I can think of that I'm going to stay consistent is Masters of the Universe. The various ones, and I may not get a few here and there, but if they're characters that I recognize and they're a nice price point and things like that, so that's different. But everything else is really really getting choosier. Um, so I dropped a few. Like that's the one nice thing about pre-ordering Super Seven stuff through Big Bad Toy Store. I hate to stick them with it, but at the same time, I don't think they'll be stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'm going to do Silverhawks. I've wavered back and forth on whether or not that I was going to do the GI Joe ones. I was going to maybe do a couple of them, but how many different figures of those characters do I need that just look a little bit different? I know that
Mm-hmm.
there's Sunbow, they're the cartoon, and then we have the classified. They're totally different, and for some people that's great. But do I need those? And that's where it also comes to your brain kind of sets a thing, or at least I know it does for me, that there's certain things that I feel like I need to get because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a GI Joe fan. I should get those Super 7 Ultimate GI Joes. But really, do I need them, or do I even want them?
Yeah.
And that's where it starts to get kind of eye opening. Do I want it, or do I think I need it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, trust me, I've had to fight that off for a long time. Like that was me with the Dragon Ball Z and GT now figure arts stuff. Is I would just get every character they'd released because I'm like, oh, I need it. Like I love that show.
Mm-hmm.
I need it. And then I'm like, I mean, do I though? Like I really love the Boo Saga and I love GT. I'm like, do I really need to like go like deep dive into it? And even now I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, well I ordered two of the new Vegeta that's from the movie just because that's a much better representation of that like
Right.
no armor Vegeta than the version we got for the Majin. So depending on how the skin tone matches, I might just pop the Majin head on that and use that as my Majin Vegeta instead. But beyond that, I'm just like constantly like Mafex, at least now they only do like one of each version of each character instead of being like, oh, here's
Mm-hmm.
this, here's a like this and a different color variation or whatever. So it's not as bad. Mezco though, that was a big problem as well. Is like Batman's, we'd get three of every Batman that they did
Mm-hmm.
because they do a normal version, they do a blue and gray version, and then they do an all black version, and then they have another special version just for the shits and giggles. And it just got so much because I'd be like, well, it's Batman, I need it. He comes with different
Right.
accessories, I need it. I've got a bat
Yeah.
cave being built, I need as many accessories as possible. And now I'm like, no, I'm so happy to be done with that line because like think about it, those are $90 a piece, so we're talking
Yeah.
like 200 and what, $80 for each Batman that they'd make that I'd have to shell out. Like, nah, it's not enough that like I'm gonna give ever. I don't think I'll ever give up collecting necessarily unless like
Right.
some big
Right.
life changing thing happens. But I certainly have no problem being more choosy. I've
Yeah.
especially these past few years. I've kind of gone from that like buy it all up, get excited and impulse, and now I'm more like, okay, like I keep going through my big bad toy store pruners and be like, oh, I don't want that, don't really want that,
Yep.
and just in like getting rid of stuff consistently, so I don't end up with situations like a few weeks ago with the black and white Riffle Tech Mickey that I forgot to cancel. Just because like, you get excited about things, you're like, oh, that's really cool. I'd love to have that on my shelf. And then you have Jarmar in your ear going, shelf representation every fucking week. Uh,
Right.
so you just get in this like habit of being like, oh yeah, I fucking need representation. My miscellaneous shelf, you can barely ever see it on camera because of the way the framing is. But that I got rid of half that stuff. I took it down to some local shops and got it as store credit because I was just like, I don't need just representations of every random property I like. I got rid of my Marvel Select figures. I actually sold those in the Facebook groups. I got rid of my battle damaged Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid that Diamond Select made. I got rid of a bunch of my McFarlane Batmans that I didn't really need. I kept White Knight Batman, the Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman, and the Last Night on Earth, just because I loved all three of those books. I liked the designs, and they actually turned out decent compared to some of McFarlane's stuff.
Right.
Uh, so I kept those, and I mean I kept a few other things, but my miscellaneous shelf is probably at least half what it was, if not more, than that gone. And I it's just kind of relieving because then you don't have that feeling of like, oh well, if they make this thing, I kind of feel like I need it to go with this thing. Now it's like, no,
Yep.
I don't need it at all.
Right.
Man, I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
feel real bad when I have to make a clickbait title like, "Did Hasbro Pulse Marvel Legends make us quit collecting?"
right. Right. This, you know, Plastic Free has then created this mini toy therapy session where we had to hash this out and discuss like why we're doing what we're
Oh
doing.
shit! I wish I had the toy therapy overlay in this
Yeah, we
setup.
just
I
put that
just
right
switch it right over. Be like, all right, let's talk about our feelings. Since it's gonna be a while before we have another guest because the couple guests that I have lined up are busy right now and aren't gonna be free
Yeah.
until further in the spring. We could just have it pop up randomly in the middle of the episodes and cry about
Right.
things a little bit.
We start talking about, yep, yep, exactly. I think that's probably the way to
Just be
do
like, all
it.
right, now show us where Hasbro touched you.
Yeah, it wasn't in a pleasurable place, so I don't know where that is because
Mm.
a lot of my places can be pleasurable. I don't know. Maybe it was the bottom of my feet because I don't like
Ticklish.
that. Don't touch me there.
Yeah,
Very, very.
don't touch me there. That's
So
my
yeah,
no square.
yeah, yeah. So uh, I'm I'm of two minds. I'm happy in the sense that they're trying something, but I'm also just not happy with the way that it's going for us as
Mm.
collectors. And
Yeah,
I see a lot of people online, they're being negative and they're like, "Well, Hasbro doesn't care." And my first instance is to be like, "No, of course they do. Like, that's their bottom line, but do they ultimately care about us?" And I don't know. And
I
I think they I don't think they understand how much of us makes up their audience.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like they can't even like slightly claim that this is a kids line. Otherwise, they wouldn't
Right.
have Fan First Fridays and all the fucking bullshit live streams. Because that's what little Timmy isn't sitting at home at 1 p.m.
No,
Uh,
little Timmy's at school.
exactly.
Why they have these when they must know that all of us or like a lot of us work from
Yeah.
home or
And
can just
they're like
set
everyone
something up.
who buys this line works and doesn't give a shit if they have to go pretend to be taking a shit for an hour to watch this live stream. Um,
Right.
so they know who their core demo is. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Or do you think they'll just be like, hey, they've done it this long, we got them.
I think that's the mentality behind it, but I think they're also like I have a theory about the price hikes. I think this is to compensate for the amount of people they know they're going to lose, because
Probably true.
they know they're going to lose a solid large percent of the mint on card collectors, because at that point you're just collecting a box that's Schrodinger's
Mhm.
fucking Spider-Man, because it could be Spider-Man, it could be Hello Kitty, you don't know.
I was going to use that exact same analogy, but yeah,
Yeah.
well played.
So I'm like it's just one of those things where I think they know they're going to lose a big chunk of their normal sales base, and they have a lot of people jump off the line, but there's a lot of people who still love these characters and are obsessed, and they're already like, well, I'm well past balls deep at this point, so I'm no stopping now. And they're gonna try to use that price hike to make up the deficit between the two.
You're probably right, but I also look at too, and this goes along with what you're saying. Um, they're in a weird position because think about their top properties. Star Wars, Transformers, um, Marvel, Power Rangers. Okay, so that's four of the big ones right there. That's like the ones they mostly. Did I include GI Joe in there? Because that's the ones
I
they
don't think
have
you said
like.
GI Joe.
Okay, that's the ones they have live streams for. Take out GI Joe and all those other properties. They've made everybody that's important.
Mm-hmm.
All they can do now is offer variants and different costumes and stuff like that. They've made Iron Man, they've made Spider Man, they've made Thor, Captain America, all that. Power Rangers. They're realizing that all that sells is the original Mighty
Mighty,
Morphin
yeah.
stuff. They've backed way off. I don't know that they've announced any upcoming Lightning collection that wasn't tied
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah,
the
because the last one they announced was literally just two figures. It was the
yeah.
the ninja versions from the movie.
Yep. Same with Star Wars. Other than new media, but at the same time, even with Obi-Wan coming out, we have several Ewan McGregor Obi-Wans at this point.
Yeah,
So all they
they had
can
to do
really
a
do,
huge difference to if he looks different, but
yeah,
that's about it.
right. And otherwise, we kind of have everybody. Even
Mm-hmm.
the new media that's coming, Andor, Ahsoka, the Mandalorian. We have all that stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Transformers. I mean, they're really kind of reaching at this point. I mean, they've done new great versions of pretty much every important character. All they can now do is variants and things like that. GI Joe is
And
probably the only
upgrades,
one where they
really.
really, yeah. GI Joe is the only one where they have a lot to go with yet, but at the rate that they're going, who knows how long that will take. So that's also in a weird spot because with the packaging and the price increases and everybody already kind of being made, there's a lot more reasons for people to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like it all ties in on top of everything we've talked in the past with like the episode like our exclusives bad. The only other thing aside from that Venom I wanted was the lizard. The retro line is already hard to get. Now you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell me it's Walmart exclusive. Like
Yeah, have they? I guess they did a few Target exclusives, but is this the first Walmart
I think this is the
exclusive?
first Spider-Man set to have, because they I think the Target exclusives were the X-Men.
Yeah, but they also had the Negative Zone Spidey
That's right.
and
In
the
the in
Cybernetic.
yeah, that's right. They did have those at Target. Which
Yeah,
those, I
but
mean,
those weren't hard to get.
if they do it like that, sure. I don't trust. I trust Walmart way less than Target, which is
Sure.
saying something because I don't trust Target at all.
Right. No, I'm the same. Walmart's real sketchy when it
I
comes
because I
to your
mean,
pre-orders and stuff.
because one, let's face it, I'm not going to be able to get the pre-order anyway when it goes up because it's going to sell out in
Right.
seconds. So I'm going to rely on basically being able to get it in store, and then it's a crapshoot of if it'll show up, because like my Walmart is so random with like some
Mm-hmm.
things they like boom they're on it, and then other things will sit there for months and months and months and won't get anything new, and then next thing you know they finally clearance it out, and then the newest set's there, and it's just like we've mentioned before, it starts to take the fun out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are making fun of the weird like Kermit the Frog looking face for the lizard, but I mean he looked derpy in the show, like
Yeah.
and in the old toys. So to me, that's what this line would be for. And I had mentioned on a previous episode, I'm sure at some point, that I don't want to get them all. I'm not going to be a completionist with the retro line because one, I'd never fucking get them all, and two, I'm only going to get the villains that I really liked as a kid or even really like
Hmm.
now. For instance, like, and I didn't get the Green Goblin because one, he looked derpy as fuck because they just took the old one and gave pupils on his eyes and it just didn't look right. But as a kid, I loved Hobgoblin, especially because like in the show he had that giant glider compared to the Green Goblin. I'm like, size matters, bitch.
Hmm.
uh, so like for me, I'm like, okay, Hobgoblin, he's a must. And then Venom, I mean, Venom, come on now, that's a must.
Yeah.
Black Suit Spidey, must. Like there's
Right.
some that are like, okay, these are the versions I love. I'm getting them. I actually ended up taking the armored Spider-Man back to Walmart just because I didn't really have that connection with it. I saw it out of impulse, got excited, got it. There was that whole very tragic story for that child. If you want to hear about that, I think it was on weekly purchases. I can't keep track at this point where
Yeah.
I tell the stories.
I think it was, but yeah.
That might still be up on twitch.tv/Modern Toy Fair, so go check out. If not, I'm sure it'll get brought up again sometime about how I'm a terrible person. Uh, but
No, that was a situation where I did not blame you.
oh yeah, I mean it was fair
Like,
game.
you snooze, you lose.
You put
Yeah.
it down to decide if to look at something else. That's on you. Rule number one: never
That's how
put the
I got
thing
my
down.
original April O'Neil back in the day. Some kid put it down.
Mm-hmm.
I snatched it up because she
Yeah,
was hard to get.
yeah. Like you just, it sucks for that kid, but at the end of the day, gotta learn that lesson sometime that you don't put the thing that
Yep.
you're considering down until you've 100% made the decision that you want something else.
Yep. You buy it and then you return it 2 weeks later like a real man.
Yeah, exactly. Like a grown ass
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, I did that. I would always, like, if I was debating between things, I would keep them in my hands until I decided, and I'd just
Yep.
pace through the toy section until I chose, because you never know what would happen. You never know if someone else is going to come by and pick it up off the shelf while you're around the corner. And that was just a paranoia. I mean, great, I have terrible anxiety. So in my, like, for me as a kid, that was the voice in my head saying, someone's going to take it from you. Keep it. Don't let it go. Like,
Yeah.
so that's just, my flavor of crazy led me to that, but it's unfortunately what you have to do with
We
everything
all
in
have
life.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, so let us know in the comments below your thoughts on all the lovely new Hasbro Marvel Legends news, and what if you think this is gonna leak over into Star
Yeah.
Wars, if you think it's gonna
And how
ruin
it's
the
going to
retro
affect you.
lines. Are you going to keep collecting? Are you done with Hasbro at least? God, so many thoughts and feelings. Throw them in the comments. As always, I you can look at comments on all the videos. I respond. I chat with people all the time. I don't really have much of a life outside of this and work, so I like to interact with you guys. So yeah, let us know what you think. As always, check us out: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. Check us out with well, I guess it's not really Wednesday night. We'll just call it OnlyFigs, the new weekly purchases show on twitch.tv/Modern Toy Fair. It's still in theory is this going to be 10 p.m. Eastern time over on Twitch on Wednesdays, but it'll be more flexible since it doesn't have Wednesday in the title anymore. So if we need to
Yeah.
do it on Thursday, we can. Tuesday, Sunday, whenever the fuck we need to do it, we can do it. Gives us a little more freedom. And let's be honest, now it's this weekly purchases just a little bit sexier.
Yeah.
God, check out the reviews on the channel. Check out Toy Therapy. Jamar's not here, but go check him out. Twitch.tv/Jamar_games. Check out his YouTube channel, Why You Gamer. Check out Why You Gamers podcast on all major podcast platforms. Nate, what do you got for us?
I don't have any podcast this week. I don't want Jamar to miss out on any big announcements or anything like that. So
All right, then.
we'll save all those for next time. I will say, because I do have a habit of teasing things and never following through. But there is an item
Yeah, we
over
know.
on the other side of this wall. But I also recently picked up two smaller Grailish items. I think you already know about them. I think I sent pictures. I can't remember now. But I haven't shown them off yet. And I also have a pretty large item for next week that was kind of came together very quickly, and I got a hell of a deal. So
Well then.
yeah, it
Well,
is toddler sized. We'll just say that. It's not that,
okay. Just
but it's
making sure.
close.
I'm like, you got two? Uh,
Similar in size.
oh,
Similar in
baby.
size.
Size does
Yeah.
matter, kids. I will
Uh-huh.
say I will follow through because I will have next week. I already have it. It's actually the review is going up in 2 minutes from when we're recording right now.
Oh,
Um,
so I'll get a sneak peek.
yes. So my mobile of the bats might have arrived, and I have some
Ooh.
strong feelings that I'm sure everyone's curious about. So go watch the review, and then go check it out on weekly purchases next week, which or not weekly purchases,
Yeah.
OnlyFigs. God damn it, that's gonna be a hard transition. Uh,
Only figs colon
OnlyFigs, only
weekly
OnlyFigs,
purchases.
OnlyFigs. Weekly purchases just
Only
sexier.
figs.
Yeah, so go
Yes.
check that out. I also will have a certain thing I built while in Disneyland on my vacation, so
Oh.
you can come check
Oh.
that on now OnlyFigs as well. God damn it! I'm gonna close this out before I say weekly purchases one more time. But that's gonna be it
Did
for.
you have the blue milk?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Unfortunately, no. My friends got it while we were searching for something in another part of the park. I don't like to eat or drink after other people unless it's someone who I put my mouth on regularly. Um, so they offered me some. I'm like, no, and then we never got around to it because we just had a busy day. So I missed out. I missed out on the cold cum.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you thought it tasted like cold cum, and
No, I mean they claimed it didn't taste
but
like cold cum, but I don't believe them because I don't think they've ever had cold cum. But hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.
bye.